Recently, there's been a lot of discussion about the raw diet for dogs. Some pet owners feed strictly raw, some find health benefits for certain diseases. This is a recipe for chicken beef patties. These are raw patties for dogs with cancer. This recipe could also be cooked. You could cook the patties, and it does change the nutritional balance just a little bit, but if you prefer to feed a cooked food, you can certainly do that. As I mentioned, this is a raw food recipe. So what I'm going to do is add all of my ingredients to my food processor, and then I'm going to pulse it, puree it until I've got something that resembles like a meatloaf consistency, and then I make patties with it in the appropriate portion size for the dog. So first I'm going to start with 2 pounds of ground beef and 2 pounds of ground chicken. I'm going to add 1 apple that I have cored, sliced. I have about 1.5 cups of carrots. I'm using baby carrots. You can just chop up large carrots if you want to do that. I have 3 raw eggs, and I'm adding the shells in there for some added calcium. You don't have to add the shells if you don't want to. You can just crack the eggs right in there. I also have 2 cups of raw goat's milk, and I'm gonna go ahead and pulse this right now just to make a little extra room for the rest of the ingredients. So at this point it looks kind of like a really gross milkshake, but I'm also gonna add 1 cubed zucchini and 2 cups of kale. I'm gonna go ahead and pulse it again just a few times to make a little more room. Had some kale that fell out there. And then I have 2 sweet potatoes that I've cubed up as well. That's my final ingredient. So I'm gonna add those and then just, puree this, and then I can make it into the patties. Now that my mixture is completely pureed, I'm going to drop patties about 1/2 cup size onto wax paper, and then you can freeze these raw patties. As I said, if you want to cook this, you can cook it similar to a meatloaf. You could put it in a loaf pan or a cake pan, something like that, and bake it on 350 for about 40 to 60 minutes. I would check it at 40 minutes and go from there. So I'm gonna do these, usually I use a measuring cup, but I measure them out in 1/2 cup because the serving size is about 1/2 cup for every 20 pounds of body weight. So then if you have a dog, say that's 60 pounds, you can take out, that's per serving, and you would do 2 servings per day. So if your dog weighed 60 pounds, that would be about 3 patties in the morning, 3 patties in the evening. You would take out, 6 patties a day. You could also make these, say you had a dog that's 60 pounds, you could make them in 1.5 cup portions. You can make them in, some in 1 cup portions, some in 1/2 cup, whatever you wanted to do that's appropriate for your pet. Again, as I mentioned, you can freeze them. They will last in the freezer for 2 to 3 months. You can also refrigerate this mixture for up to 3 days. If you cook it, the same recommendation goes, you can freeze it for up to a couple of months. If you want to use, make it in bulk and use it long term, you can also stick it in the refrigerator. Cooked, it should last in the refrigerator for 5 to 7 days. If you guys have any questions, feel free to email me. Thanks for watching this video recipe.